and a tip behind him. That's going to be a spin from Goodell. Maybe no, he catches it. How in the world did he catch that?
I have no idea, and I'm not sure Ryan Goodell did either, but he comes back onto the track. A little bit of a check up there around him. That was incredible.
And taking advantage of that, Clayton Ham. Let's take another look at this replay. The 14, all sorts of sideways, and it starts to look like the car wants to go again. That's why he went on the apron. I thought maybe he just was slow and was trying to get out of the way, but he had to save it twice. We are indeed Brunschweiler to the inside of the pair of them. That might not necessarily be the best line unless he can get it woed up in time. He's the bravest on the brakes, and he is going to get it. Wow, the 4 moves up to 5th in a 2-1 move. Side by side between Burns and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has the inside, but not a nose ahead at first under braking. It starts to go back ahead. They're going to go wheel to wheel through here, giving each other space. Now it's a drag race, DJ, on who gets to the line first.
And it's going to be a shorter line there for David Burns, but it's not giving any room by Johan Vanderbilt. They're going to dive down into the corner. Little bit of bumping and banging, but who's it going to be? I think it's Burns by 22 thousandths of a second.
Meanwhile, up towards the front for TCRs, this has now swapped. Waring has swapped with Hardman. That took place last time by down the front stretch. Now looking to swap back. Look at this. Ascend to the inside. Hardman runs along the curb in the hairpin and just about completes the pass and does. Battle for second now up as Wager tries to send his way in for Britannia iSports.
Wow, this is a three-way battle for that first position. All these guys are fighting for the lead. This is
three wide.
Really nice 3 wide going into Cunningham around a Collier. I can't tell who's going to make it out of this in front of this whole pack, but it looks like it's going to still be Hardman. Andrew Hardman doing a beautiful job to hold on to the lead there.
He's been slowly working his way up through the field. I wouldn't have expected it there. Brown maybe thinking about it 2 for 1.
Wow, great heads up by Johnson, who sees him coming and gives him space, and great braking by Travis Brown. I didn't think there was any way that he managed to get side by side.
Nor did I, but he runs wide there, and that's going to open up the door back for Jeffrey Shulam.
Wheel to wheel, fighting for the 9th position, and it looks like Shulam might have it. Travis Brown cutting back underneath. He's going to fight back on Jeffrey, who's had his hands full for just about the last 5 laps in its entirety, and unfortunately, once again, he is snookered around the outside of Sayat. The nature of sport is that no one remains king of the hill forever. In the GTPs, the torch has been passed and new faces have fought their way upwards to the point they are now vying for a championship. While over in the GTOs, Leskla looks as though he's not ready to say goodbye to the throne quite yet. Which way will the wind blow them today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road America is probably familiar to those who joined us for the Community's Week 13 special event, but in case anyone missed it, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. Well, Adam, these guys have raced here tons of times. It's one of the most popular, as evidenced by how many have shown up today.
Absolutely, 50 drivers here today at Road America, and it's one of the most fascinating tracks that Kamel races, and not because of the track particularly, but how these specific cars handle that track. This just over 4 mile or 6.5 kilometer 14 turn course is plenty of elevation and complexity, and the Audi drivers, they always seem to have an amazing battles here. The 90-degree nature of many of the corners makes Road America a blast to drive for the GTO, and many long straights allow for plenty of opportunities for passing. The Nissans have it easier, with their only fears being the downhill braking into turn 5 and the long, challenging carousel that can burn up their rear tires. Multi-class here can be a challenge from hurry downs through 14. This track gets very windy, and the Audis need most of the track to be fast. The Nissans will be picking their way through, with the danger zones being the kink and Bill Mitchell blend. There will be a lot of draft trains today, Joe, and I look forward to seeing a lot of late braking maneuvers as well.
Same. And, well, if we look at the championship, I mentioned in the intro that faces have changed a little bit up at the top. Sintes Galindo and Olsen are two winners so far this season. Olsen tied there for third, and Krejcik kind of inserting himself with consistency into second in the points. Mosquera, a little bit of a jump back down into fifth, but not the typical people that we see leading the way here. What about over in the GTOs?
Well, you said that Yuko Leskola was not ready to give away the championship quite yet, but he's got some work to do because he's not even on this board right now. Phil Lake leads Reed Miller by 9 points. Nick Bacano 4 points back of that, with Ben Lafter 4 points back as well. Javier Del Olmo only 2 points back of Ben Lafter, and just off screen is a tie for sixth position between Jamie Hamill-Smith and Yuko Leskola, but Yuko on the climb, up 13 positions from last week.
He's going to be helped by those drop points as well when those start to get counted. As for today's race, it's a little bit different from usual. It's going to be a 60-minute event here for this one. It's still open setup, and they still have no spare car. Same deal with the drive-through and disqualification penalties, so they got to be a little careful. Extra 20 minutes. Don't want to wind up being a little abusive on those incident limits. But watch out for pit stops. That's really the big thing that the 60 minutes means here, is that extends it far enough that they're going to have to try and work some strategy here today. And we've also got some interesting names joining us. Iankan Guven is our current number one, and no wonder. He has a 9,800 iRating. And right... Look at the gap that he's pulled. Yeah, it's a second over regular Ove Trangrade, who's even abandoned. He doesn't even pull a second lap. He's done with it.
What's interesting, though, is Ove Trangrade is usually not our fastest GTP. So I'm just curious as, like, is it possible that everyone's pace is a little bit off today? Or is Iankan Guven really that fast? Well, Alexis Tapia Vico jumps up to second position at 8 tenths behind Iankan. So my guess is that if people can get their speed going, and Laust Olsen does not improve on his second lap, so I think people just not having a good qualifying today here, Joe.
Yeah, Vico's still 8 tenths of a second away. I think this is Guven just being this darn fast. So as we watch the number 2, which is Yuko Leskola, the other one that's been dominant. I mean, for comparison's sake, Yuko, who's just been winning championship after championship, race after race in the GTOs, is at a 6,400 iRating. That's why we are just jaws on the floor at Guven being close to 10K. There's, I think, only 2 or 3 people that have ever broken 10K, I want to say. I'll have to double check on that stat.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Yuka Leskala, I mean, he's, like you said, at 6.4K, but he's still got that second, about half a second over Nick Makanos now as Nick sets a good lap. Phil Lake coming in at 0.2 behind Yuko on his second lap. But Yuko crossing the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does by 0.2 himself.
Looks like Mascara moves into third. I also want to give credit to Alexis in the 14 for that second place lap. We usually don't see him on the front row, so that was a great job on his part. Leskala still leading Phil by over half a second. Ian Haycock's second lap, good enough for 5th place. See if he can fight his way towards the podium. Oh, Alex Millward pops one in, and he goes to 6 as the last of the drivers are now finishing up.
Good to see Alex Millward out there racing in the GTO. Usually a stalwart in the GTP, but drivers in this series switch over positions quite a bit. Looking at Matthias Hovdal, he will not complete this lap with only 30 seconds to go. So looks like our, I think that our grid is more or less set here with Marco Battaglia. It's going to be the last one across the line. Does not set a time, unfortunately.
Nope. Fonseca also will be out of there, and a few others. So before we go to the grid, we want to mention our channel sponsor, the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code, MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. As we now grid up, Guven is on the pole with Vico starting next to him. It's going to be Mascara in P3 and Trangrade eventually shuffle all the way to 4th. Didn't take that second lap, and maybe that cost him a little bit. Sanchez comes over from a fun race down in the Lotus 49s into 5th here on the grid for the Kamel series. Lau Stolson as well was in that hot fight as he starts from 6th today. Sintez Galindo, who is on the top of the points chart, will start from 7th. That might cost him. Fabian Jungbluth will start from P8 as John Keefe is 9th, and Martin Krajcik, 2nd in the points, is all the way down in 10th today. Timu Toika is back once again. Fat Timu starts from 11th as Timothy Vaughn is 12th, and Pablo Suarez is 13th. After that, it is Stefan Leslie in P14 and Doug Cloud in 15. Diego Mastretta will be to his outside. Emerson Gaudin will be 17th, and Nathan Cameron will be 18th. Jose Pineda will be in 19th with the top 20, rounded out by Mike Reuter. After that, Jeffrey Furcon will start from 21st. You've got Kirk Clapper in 22nd. Lilac Zier is the last to set a time in the GTPs in 23rd. Fonseca, El Safi, Power, Clapper, and Battaglia are all going to be starting from the back of the GTP grid.
GTPs may have a lot of unfamiliar names, so the GTOs is pretty much every GTO that's ever run in the Kamel series showing up today. We got Yuka Leskala on pole with Phil Lake only 0.2 behind. Nick Bacanos in 3rd position next to Javier Del Olmo in 4th. Ian Haycock's a great qualifying today. 5th position for him with Alex Millward lining up in 6th. Reed Miller a little bit far back from his usual 5th, back in 7th spot with Mark Olay in 8th. Hideki Koivisto lining up in 9th with Ben Laughter lining up in the 10th position. Franco Scurry just outside the top 10. Chao Franco in 11th position with Matthias Hovdal down in the GTOs running in 12th. Alexander Schumacher lining up in the 13th position with Marius Brewer in 14th. Jamie Hamill-Smith 15th position today with Gianluca Gabbiani lining up in the 16th spot. Robert Plumley in 17th. Robin Happich in the 18th position with Alexandre Caprone in the 19th spot, and Andreas Nielsen, the last Audi to set a time, in 20th. Javier Delgado and John Urban did not set times and round out your 22-car Audi field and your 50 cars for this race today.
Whew, that's a lot to get through. Thankfully, we had quite a bit of a wait in the pace lap to try and get all that in. Now the drivers are focused forward for the 60 minutes of racing. And if you see that number 1 and think, that name Guven sounds familiar. Yes, that is the driver who's raced in Porsche Carrera Cup in the real world. So not just fast here in the sim, but fast out in an actual car. as well, as that seems to translate well for him. And we come down towards turn 5, where I'm expecting a lot of action in both classes on the first lap.
Yeah, but Joe, any pro driver is going to tell you, getting up to 9.8K in iRating, that takes a lot of time and grinding here in iRacing in the official sessions to do. So this guy's not just good, he does a lot of iRacing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That took some time to do. I actually have to check to see how long he's been on the service, then see how long it took him to manage this level, and whether or not he can fare well here in the Kamel GT series. I'm not sure how much he's raced here. If he's not familiar, it might be a bit of a rude awakening, because it's got its own unique flavor, this series.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to run away to start this. Like, he's got major pace over everyone else. But the question is, when it comes to passing through the Audi field, these are a lot of drivers that he hasn't driven around before. And the rules of the Kamel series are a little different than, say, IMSA or WEC. It's going to feel a little bit more argy-bargy than he's probably used to, but with a driver of his caliber, I would expect him to probably cut through the field pretty effectively.
Got a few of his neighbors on board today, starting with Ben Laughter, who we see here, and it looks like he's having a bit of connection issues. We'll see if that clears up as time goes by. We've also got Phil Lake with us, back once again, showing us from the front row of the GTOs. And then, of course, we've got Ian Haycox with us once more. This is a bit of a, I don't know if it's a fan favorite, but it's one of our favorites, seeing how he does. And then finally, a regular, Laust Olsen, joins us and sees how he fares from 6th on the grid. As we come down towards Canada Corner, it's been a little bit cloudy at times. It's only 79 Fahrenheit on the track, so not outrageously hot, but also not super cold either, and just a little bit of wind to affect them. And as you'd expect in the Midwest in spring, it's pretty humid.
Yeah, very humid out there, and yeah, it's not too hot, not too much wind for these drivers, so I don't believe that they're going to be that affected by any of these conditions. Honestly, it's going to be pretty sticky for them today, and so the GTP should be okay to hold on to that rear tire temperature, which always seems to be a little bit of a problem. But the pace car pulls off a little early here, and I've seen a lot of early jumps as well, but we'll see what the black stripe driver will do to lead this race.
We've been waiting for the pace car to peel in. It's going to be a long tow up to the front. He's going to hold him, and now he goes. Green flag is out for round 3 in the Kamel GT, and it's a huge jump for Guven. He just leaves Vico in the dust. Looks like Mosquera is going to be able to pull ahead of Trangarade by the time they come down to the first corner, as he covers that one off. Top 5 pretty much single file into turn 1, and we are clean through, it appears. Let's go to the GTOs.
It was a tough race, a tough final corner for Yuko Leskola. Phil Lake pulling up ahead, but it's going to be 3 wide as they head down to turn 1. Look at that. That's Ian Haycox making the move for the lead on the inside. They're almost 4 wide behind him. That's Reed Miller, who gets into the back of everybody. He cleans out Yuko Leskola.
Unbelievable! Haycox with a move that saved his bacon. Del Olmo moves into 2nd. Olay is now into 3rd. Ben Laughter moves up to 4th. But numerous fast drivers in the GTOs have been sent to the very back.
This is going to make the race real interesting to see who from that front pack can get back up to the lead of this race. Right now it's Ian Haycox over Javier Del Olmo, Mark Ole, Ben Laughter from 10th, in 4th now, and Hideki Koivisto.
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure how nervous Ian is now that he has suddenly found himself in the lead, but hopefully he's been able to settle them down, because he's got about a half a second over Del Olmo, and he's got to make 60 minutes work as well. See if he can outpace everybody behind him from here, because the door is wide open. Can he step through?
Phil Lake down in 16th position. He's got work to do. Ian Haycox, that was the most opportunistic move I've seen him make in the series. What a move to get to the lead of this race. It was clean, and then he just was able to avoid getting taken out by Reed Miller, who just got onto the grass in the braking zone and couldn't get the thing straightened out. What a change up at the front of this field for the Audis.
As we come back down to Phil Lake, trying to climb his way through, and back to Mosquera, about 0.8 of a second off of Vico. Credit to Alexis. He's still within half a second of Guven. So not letting him streak away, and you kind of expect based on qualifying that he would have already put some decent distance between himself and the field, but it's only the first lap, still plenty to go, and Trangrade's looking close to Mosquera too.
Yeah, absolutely. Trangrade right on the back of Mosquera, but once again, these GTPs do not quite have the draft that the Audis do down this Moraine sweep, so not as much of an opportunity there for Ove Trangrade to make the pass. But I'm really impressed with Vico, who's hanging on to the back of Guven right now. And look at this, Ian Haycox has lost the lead in the Audis.
Indeed, it's Stelomo who's managed to take that slipstream and get on by. He wants to take his first win of the series. Both of these drivers have never seen the top of the podium here on the broadcasts of Kamel GT. Behind them, I see Marco Lay just kind of hovering in the background. Wonder if he could try and get involved as well. The slipstream's going to make it hard to get away from anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And take a look at this. Ian Haycox thinking about trying to make a move. This is such a challenging braking zone down to 5, but thinks better of it. He's going to hang out behind Javier Del Olmo. Mark Olay now thinking about making a move. Just to report, Phil Lake up to 14th position now from 16th, so he's still on his recovery drive and moving through the field well. He's only 3 seconds off of the leaders. Oh, who's this who's had a problem? That's Alex Millward.
Oh, wonder if he missed a shift or if he had some help, because he was definitely going slow down there.
No help, just lost it under braking. Too much rearward brake bias.
Also had an incident with Kurt Clapper, but he carries on after a short off in Canada Corner. Guven now setting the fastest lap of the race, a full second ahead of Vico. I think we've got an opportunity. Why don't we take a look at the replay of the start for the GTOs, see if we can analyze this one a little bit better. I'm with you. I think Reed just clipped some grass and unfortunately caught himself out.
So first off, this is a beautiful start from everybody behind Eagleska. Eagleska takes it too deep into the final corner, which backs up Phil Lake and pushes, I believe that was Javier Del Olmo wide. Javier rejoins safely, and now everyone behind has a huge head of steam because these two on the front were slow. Ian Haycox moves to the inside right against the wall and squeezes by. I mean, what a move. And then Reed Miller, who's battling with, I believe that's, I'm not sure that was in the back, but yeah, he just gets onto the grass, gets the right tires into the grass out there and can't brake straight and just collects the drivers in front of him.
In fact, that was Mark Olay. No, that was Nick Mukanos who got shoved off before they even reached the green flag. Yeah, it was almost 4 wide there coming up, and unfortunately, you can go through.
That's off. So sorry, Mark Olay was off as we were live right there, so we watched the replay once again. So Mark Olay's now recovered and back going, but these GTOs are still in a big long draft train right now. Without these leaders in front who are used to pulling ahead, they're not really clearing the way right now.
Look at the fight between Laughter and Koivisto here for 3rd place. So we've lost somebody who was with them a little bit earlier. Yeah, you mentioned Marco Lay, who is off. So that has separated them, at least for the time being. And they've also got Mukanos and Hovdal.
Diego Mastretta is around. He's going to take a tow. This was an incident with Seamus Power.
Oof. It's been a bit messy at the start, but it is 50 cars. It's hard to keep everybody clean with this big of a field as they fly past the start-finish line. Once again, already on lap 4 are leaders, and Guven now up to about 2 seconds ahead. There you can see one of them coming into pit lane with significant damage to the rear wing and getting some tires while he's at it. That might actually be within the pit window.
No, that was Seamus Power. He has damage from that incident that he had with Matthias. Or sorry, with Diego.
Yeah, well, I'm more wondering if he could maybe get to the finish from here, even though he's having to come in to take some repairs as we continue to watch Javier and Trangrade, who seems unable to overtake here. He had some trouble. We were at Zolder in the Lotus 49s, and that certainly proved difficult to try and get passes done there. But this is a place known to make passing a lot more feasible. I'm surprised Trangrade's still stuck behind the 17.
Well, the passing usually happens a little bit later in the race than this. It's once they get through the Audis a little bit and the drivers start to have different tire wear states on their tires when things start to happen. Our leaders will be catching the back of the GTOs probably by the time they go under the Corvette bridge on this coming lap.
Yeah, there's our GTP leader. Guven is now up to 2.4 seconds and can't quite see the traffic in front of him, but you're right, I checked ahead just as you were mentioning it, and Plumlee's up first, and it's Delgado and Miller. Oh, and somebody's slow by Miller. That's Capron. Not exactly sure what happened there. Keefe is now in pit lane. Is this scheduled?
I believe so. I think John Keefe's trying to get out of the mess.
Yeah, I kind of don't blame him. And back to Hankin as he comes down into the braking for 5. So just a hair early. Hasn't quite caught Plumlee now that he approaches the Corvette bridge, but he can start to see him in some of the straightaways as we ride on board. There they are.
Absolutely. So he's going to catch them as they go through the carousel. So it should be easier to get through these guys when through the carousel section. But when we get up to the kink, that's where things get very interesting for a fast car like the GTP trying to get around these Audis. So here he goes. He's going to have to go around all the way around the outside, over around Plumlee, Delgado. Now Nielsen, he's going to duck to the inside here. This is where things get interesting. He should be able to make a pass Capron before the kink, and does so. So good job there. Here's the stricken Reed Miller, who's still trying to recover down to 19th position that he's going to go by. So far so good and clean. And here, right in front of him, Yuko Leskala, 18th on track and a good 10 seconds off of the lead of the GTOs. So very cautious from Guven right now.
Certainly not what he needs, and Yuko's experience, so he gives way coming off of Bill Mitchell-Benz. And Guven now has a bit of a gap before he reaches the next set of cars, as there's a bit of a battle starting to form in front of him. That's Millward trying to overtake on Scurry for 14th just in front of him. That could hold him up a little bit if this doesn't clear up pretty soon. Too wide can make it a little bit narrow, but he finds him at the right spot. Or does he? No. Looking to the inside, Millward is on the attack on Gabbiani, so he goes the other way around, slices his way through, and Guven is gone.
Wow, that was some stressful moments there. I don't think that Millward had any idea that Guven was there. These Audis have been battling with each other for the last 4 or 5 laps, and now suddenly, right in their mirrors, quicker than they can anticipate, is the GTP leader, and now these battles are going to get separated by the amount of GTPs coming through. Guven still navigating. We're riding on board with Mascara, or rather Tapia Vico, as he's trying to navigate through this battle, and he's getting held up.
Yeah, and things are just going to continue to get thicker because there's actually a battle for third. Laughter just overtook Mukanos. And Olsen's had a problem. Olsen's off track. He's self-spun.
And also Mike Reuter blew his engine. So 2 GTPs with major issues, and Laust Olsen's got major damage. He's going to have to take to the pits.
Gets it back around at least and pointed the right direction, eventually finding the track itself. Look at this mess, my goodness. Starting to approach what I was talking about between Laughter and Mukanos, who are weaving across the track trying to play defense late into the corner. I can't believe Guven got by both of them.
What a move from Guven. He knew that Tapia Vico was close. Oh boy, Vico! He hangs on to it, but that was close.
Wow, Ben Laughter twice on the radio. I don't think he's terribly happy about how this is going with the GTP leaders, but Vico is trying desperately to stay with what is a very fast driver, and there he goes.
We've had a problem with Martin Kraytrick. Kraytrick is around in the background. This was a holdup behind Fabian Jungbluth, Xavier Sanchez, and Ove Trangerade.
Yeah, it was a domino effect that eventually trickled down to Martin, and that sent him spinning off the final corner where he eventually rejoins the track now. And again, second place in the points from Martin. This is not going to help his hopes on that one. In fact, Sentes Galindo still sits in 7th currently, so our points leader might still give up the points lead in the GTPs. Olsen just had his issue, so it's Pablo Suarez. Where is Suarez today? Is he even there? Yes, he is. He's in 11th. Wow. Okay, so it's Javier Mascara from 5th in the points, who is looking like he might be our points leader if things finish as they sit now.
And Joe, Phil Lake is just behind where these guys went through. Actually, he's just ahead of these guys right now. He's just ahead of this battle for 7th position between Aitor Sittes, Galindo, Fabian Jungbluth, and Timo Toika, and Timothy Vaughn. He's just ahead of them. He's made his way up to 7th position in the GTOs, and he's got a pack of 4 cars up ahead of him before they get to Nick Bacanos, who's 4 seconds behind our lead battle between Ian Haycox and Javier Del Olmo. He has a chance still to win this race somehow.
Yeah, to never say die attitude. You got to admit.
He's got to survive this, and it's chaos right now. Here we go through the kink. Side-by-side contact with the GTP, and he's around.
Oh, and that looks to be Timo Toika, Fat Timo, who's definitely experienced in the series, but we haven't seen him around as much recently. Looks like he's...
and Phil Toes.
Oh, wow. I thought for sure this is a great chance for him to pull more points over Leskola, which he's going to need late in the season based on past performance from that number 2 car. But look at this. It's Trangarade now sizing up Javier Mosquera as he looks to the inside, coming down to turn 1, and he is going to outbrake him into the corner very clearly, completely past.
And just a note about Phil Lake taking that toe. Yuko is now ahead of Phil, so Phil's losing points to Yuko at this point in this race.
And Reed Miller, who was the one who came in second in points. Where's Mukanos right now? He's in third, so Mukanos is sitting very well based on how things are. It depends on if Leskola starts to catch him. He's not too horribly far back, but he's got a lot of cars between them currently. As we see our GTO leaders, Del Olmo, who came into this race 5th in points, so also going to get a nice little gain. We watch from the onboard of Ian Haycox. They let Fabian Jungbluth go on by. That's 7th in the GTPs. They also now have the battling Timothy Vaughn in there, who eventually finds his way past. Coming through the hurried downs, Haycox is not letting Javier go.
No, I think he's doing a great job. He's let Javier pass him, and then he's just using Javier as a little bit of a gauge as to what his pace needs to be. So he's just hanging on to the back of Javier Del Olmo and just hanging out there in the 2nd position. And then he knows that if he can hold on to him through the pit cycle and into the final 5 minutes of this race, that's when you pounce. So Ian Haycock's doing exactly what he needs to win and save a little bit of fuel.
But will Del Olmo let him by is the question, because as they battle, I'm sure that Del Olmo's probably thinking he's going to have to play some defense somewhere. Maybe he's thinking about fuel himself, doing a little lift and coasting, and letting by Doug Cloud past them. Still a lot more of these GTPs to eventually find their way through. They're not even halfway through the field, having overtaken them.
Yeah, this track has always been a challenge for the multi-class, especially that's the final sector is just such a challenge for these drivers to navigate through. So there goes Emerson Godin and Nathan Cameron. So 2 more GTPs through. Ian Haycock's just chilling behind Javier Del Olmo while all this chaos goes on around them. And just to report, Ion Kanguvin did make it all the way through all of the GTOs and is out in clean air and out to 5.5 seconds of lead. He's pulling a second a lap on Tapia Vico.
I'm not surprised that the traffic made a bit of the difference. That tends to be the case here in Camel. Also, Xavier Sanchez passed up Javier Mosquera for 4th place. Mosquera seems to be slipping somewhat at this stage as Gaudin and Cameron fighting. Oh, well, that is not the line.
Too deep, yeah. I mean, this is what I talked about in the in the track description. It's just really hard for him to get it's really hard to get those brakes going. I think it looks like it looks like Gaudin actually has it set so that he has to activate the clutch himself instead of having it be an anti-stall clutch on iRacing. It's an option you can set, and I mean, for realism, sure, go for it, but it doesn't really keep you going if you need to restart the engine.
Yeah, it's fun to play pretend, but then if you're serious about the competition, it's certainly not an edge or an advantage. Trangrade has now passed Mosquera. Is there damage on the 17 that we missed, I wonder? Did he get somebody in going through the traffic? He is in the pink car. Let's take a close look here. That's Trangrade in the red, zooming by, and it looks...
I'm not seeing damage on Javier's machine.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that he's just burnt off the front tires. Oh, Hideki Koivistos had a problem.
Oof. And that's gonna, oh, he's off the track. This is through the kink. That's not a good place to have a problem.
Oh, this was contact with the GTP. This was contact with Ward Al-Safi.
Yeah, the 33 just gave him a glancing blow. Side by side into the kink. Doesn't tend to end well, as they found out as somebody's into Canada corner and found the tires.
Seamus Power. He's already had some moments himself. He had contact with Diego Mastretta earlier in the race, so Seamus just unfortunately not having a great race right now.
No, it is been a bit of a trial as he comes back up the front stretch. I think Krajcik just overtook Fonseca for 13th, so Martin getting back on his horse and going for it. There you see the number 18 now, and as they fly under the Corvette bridge, he is actually down 3 positions. Oh, Suarez just overtook Jungbluth as well, I think. Double checking on that. Yeah, looks like Fabian Jungbluth with an off at the Hurry Downs. Oh, and Marco Lay is
just recovering. Yeah, he just went off, unfortunately. It was too wide going through turn 3. So, ooh, look at this. That was Alexander Schumacher thinking about doing an over-under on Yuka Lesko. It gets a little bit too wide. That's Robin Happich who's going to make the move up the inside underneath the Corvette bridge.
And that allows Leskola to streak away, but this battle carries on. Happage in a back and forth tussle. Schumacher trying to see if he can come back at him. 2 wheels in the grass, slows him up a bit and will deny an opportunity as Seamus Power now will split them.
Yeah, Seamus sticking his nose in there, actually had to back out of it a little bit, which backed up Marco Lay. So Mark's going to now about a second and a half behind this battle, now in the clutches of Reed Miller behind him. So very interesting stories going on this race, and Ian Haycox has had a problem at some point because he's now a second and a half to 2 seconds behind Javier Delomo.
I wonder if it was more of that traffic. Checking to see if I can find some sort of error.
Oh, it was traffic, you're right.
Yeah.
Battle with Lilac Sire, John Keefe, and Kurt Clapper.
Just kind of caught him in an awkward space, and everybody wanted through. But the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh, as somebody's had an off coming off the final corner, and based on those tire tracks, it looks like they wound up on the inside wall. We'll try and figure out who that was in a little bit, but there is Ian Haycox with 1.6 seconds to go to try and make up. I understand it might have been El Safi again with that problem coming off the corner. Yes, it was. And I think he actually avoided the inside barrier. He did. Ooh, great catch there from the 33, as that could have easily been his day over. I think we might spool that one up for a glance at it. Ward's currently running in 21st, so not the highest of positions, but sometimes just seeing the checkered flag is worth it, as we got to battle down into turn 5.
Yeah, this is Ben Lafter and Matthias Hovdal battling for 4th position in the GTOs. Unfortunately, no change of position there, so yeah, definitely time to look at that replay.
All right, so let's take a glance at how you make things go from bad, keep things from going bad to worst. Just locked them all 4 up. And then as soon as they hit the grass, turn their steering wheel back. Almost caused some consternation for other drivers, but didn't hit anybody or anything.
Yeah, that was a pretty decent save there. I'm sure the rejoin, requires a little bit of a driver suit change for some of those drivers going by, but fortunately, it's still running with no damage.
Fabian Jungbluth pitting. This is absolutely within the pit window, so he should be able to get back out, but he's sporting some damage on the nose of that car, so I'm sure this is earlier than he originally planned as he takes some tires. Now, tires, I do believe, are free compared to the fuel that's needed to finish this race, so probably expecting all of the GTPs to take them, and waiting for him to come back out. I'm looking through the others. Hovdal and Laughter are still very, very close in their little fight as they come up the front stretch. In fact, this is going to be a huge tow for Matthias in the 5, who has hopped over from the prototypes back into the GTOs. Once again, he's going to poke his nose, and he's got a little bit of overlap, but he's going to have to be very brave on the brakes.
Brave on the brakes is Hovdahl, but Ben Laughter with a better line off the outside. He's going to carry some speed down here into turn 3 as they go through the kick of 2, now into 3. A little bit of a squeeze from Laughter on Hovdahl. They're going to exit the corner. Hovdahl drops off of the curb. Laughter drops off the curb, so they're both fairly even as they head underneath the Sargento Cheese Bridge.
A great heads up by Matthias. Almost got ran into by Ben when he lost a little bit of control. And he's going to give the slipstream to Hovdahl, but he doesn't attack down into turn 5. Behind them, Marius Brewer starting to catch, and they've got our overall leader, Guven, who is going to break things up for a brief moment.
Absolutely. So Guven slicing his way through, looking like his tires are not too happy at the moment either. As Ove Trangrade makes his way past Xavier Sanchez, so interesting development there for third place in the GTPs. But here we go, looking on board with Ben Laughter off the back of the car, looking at Hovdahl behind. And yeah, a little bit of a Technicolor stream there for Laughter as he's starting to stress out a bit.
I think he may have put a filter or something on here because I'm looking at, and it reminds me a whole lot of what you'd see on onboards on old cars. So I think he's doing this on purpose. If so, kudos, Ben, because it looks authentic. And see if he can make an authentic defense on Hovdahl down into Canada corner. No attack there from the 5.
And Tapia Vico now is the GTP behind these guys, and he's a little stuck up behind them. He's going to have to wait for these guys to go through the final corner. This is going to give even more time to Guven up ahead.
Yes, this is going to put them away from Brewer briefly, and Vico eventually gone. About 10 seconds separating. Great run here from Hovdahl. Last time, it was Laughter who tried to get the spot, and now we're going to see if Matthias can maybe make something happen. No, he lifted and let that carry on with him in 5th place. Okay, so are we starting to see some tricky shenanigans happen with the fuel and the GTOs as well?
Well, the GTOs are limited to 85% fuel for the entire series, so some of these guys might be trying to do things to save fuel, but Nick Bacanos making a pass on Ian Haycock's 4th position right now, trying to go up the inside of 5.
Ian goes a little bit wide, slow off the corner because of that. Mukanos gets his nose in. He's going to try and take it through turn 6. He's got it nose ahead as well. Haycox could try and fight back if he wants, but this is holding up Vico, who almost gets pushed off the course, and that actually ends the battle as Ian Haycox, well, no, maybe it doesn't. He tries to send one up the inside.
Oh my goodness, this crash just happened right ahead of Yuko Lesko and Alex Millward. That was Robin Hapich and Marco Lay, I believe. No, Ben Laughter. That's Laughter from 4th position.
Oh,
what happened to him?
And he's on the radio about something here. And it looks like it was Trangarade. Trangarade got to his inside, did not anticipate him. And unfortunately, Brewer had no place to go, just T-bones him. Thankfully,
watch Yuko come through here. Oh my gosh.
Can we get an onboard?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was a scary moment for Yuko.
What a choice to go around the outside, too. He had just enough space there. Watch this, the white car. Yep. That is experience. That is experience from the 2. And a little bit of luck, I'm sure. But Yuko finds the spot, puts himself into 5th. Okay, things continue to change and evolve here in the GTO fields. And it looks like, Trangarade was trying to pass on Sanchez, and Sanchez got that one back. So Xavier has overtaken Trangarade for P3.
Yeah, these guys got to get moving because they got Javier Mascara and Aitor Sanchez Galindo tucked in behind them as well. So this is now a 4-way fight for the final spot on the podium right now.
Sanchez Galindo got to be hungry for positions here, knowing that he's got to try and retain his points lead. Not close enough down into turn 5. Mascara chasing on Trangarade. Ove been hovering through these top 5s, but without his second lap in qualifying, I'm kind of wondering if he's got more than this implies.
Absolutely. So I can report John Keefe came into the pit. John Keefe, he was our early pit stopper for the GTPs. He did an 11.7 second stop with 43 seconds in the lane. So that's our GTP barometer for pit stops. None of the GTOs have taken a pit stop so far. Martin Krajcik is the next into the pits for the GTPs. Looks like he's taking tires and a little bit more fuel.
So that'll send him to the finish of this race as the battle for P3 in the GTPs being led by Sanchez has train grade drifting back just a little bit. Oh, but drifting wide. That's Sanchez with a mistake. Ove's not close enough to capitalize. He could get a good slipstream up the front stretch. Let's see what kind of exit he has out of the final corner.
Not a super great one, unfortunately, but should have a decent draft down to the turn one. But yeah, they're keeping good pace right now. They're keeping Javier Mosquera and Heitor Sanchez Galindo back. So those two drivers definitely have some work to do to try and get up forward. You know, one battle that's really chaotic right now, though, Joe, is the battle for 8th position in the GTOs. Robin Happich, Marius Brewer, Marco Ley, and now Ben Lafter trying to recover. And these guys have Nate and Cameron tucked inside them. This is the P10 in the GTPs.
He's going to eventually find a bit of an opening onto the main straight, and he's going to elect this is a good enough time to go take a stop. Meanwhile, it's slow from Brewer, which means Olay's got a good shot at 6th place here. No, 9th place, rather. And he's going to be passed by the time they get to the break.
Oh, no!
That's very early from Happich. I thought he was going to run into him.
That was really, really close there. Fortunately, I think Jamie almost saw it coming. Oh, sorry, Happich killed. Oh, gosh.
That is Fonseca just getting into the side of Olay. And that puts them way off the back of Happich now. Instead,
our leaders crashed.
You're right, Guven's off, and that's in the final corner, and that was his own doing. He was trying to make an overtake, but he put himself off. Delgado, I don't think he did anything wrong here. Now the question is, did he damage the car?
Yes. The front left is slightly damaged. Now it shouldn't affect him too much. And he's had pace on Vico all day, so I expect he'll still have pace on Alexis Tapia Vico. He did not get past. He retained the lead even after spinning and having to recover. That's how much time he had over Alexis Tapia Vico, nearly 20 seconds. And he's still pulling a gap now, even with that front side damage. Here's the replay.
Yeah, you can see a shallow entry. So I'm guessing that was what caused him to have that little off. Just a lapse in concentration, went too deep, tipped the wheel into the dirt, and that spun him around. As we come back to these battles in the GTOs, and I think, is that Laughter there that we see?
That was Franco Scurry, actually, that Guven was going around. So Franco Scurry back in 18th position right now, not having the greatest day himself. Javier Mosquera and Heitor Sanchez Galindo battling for 5th position, though, as well as Xavier Sanchez and Ove Trangrade still nose to tail in the GTPs.
Heitor sent it in too deep into turn 5, overshot it, and Mosquera went back through into 6th. That means that Trangrade and Sanchez put some distance between themselves and those pair.
Our first caller in the GTOs for the pit stops, Mark Ole, so we'll keep track of his pit times as we watch this battle.
Yeah, remember he got hit in the side this last lap. Oh, and he missed his pit stall. Well, that's not going to be representative at all, unfortunately. So Ole is going to be in slightly long. And as our drivers up at the front of the GTP field fly past Delgado as well. A little bit of an inside line for Sanchez Galindo also, but he keeps it on the track. In fact, he used it to close in on Mosquera a bit too. Now they've got to go by Franco Scurry themselves, coming off the final turn and up the main straight. This is looking good for Sanchez Galindo.
And it's also looking good for Ove Trangrade, but I think Ove's a little bit too far back. Sanchez Galindo might have an opportunity into turn 1. Both of these battles might end up side by side into one if we're not careful. Looks like Ove's going to stay on behind, and so is Sanchez Galindo, so nobody had an issue there.
Don't need to go to it, but Carlos Fonseca off at the carousel. He found the wall, unfortunately. And that was close to Ian Haycox. He just went around the outside and spun. but didn't come close to hitting on Ian. Meanwhile, Sanchez still towing along Trangarade. Will he try a move? No, he breaks a little bit early there. Wonder if he's saving fuel. Another move to the inside from Sintez Galindo, and another time that turn 5 does not produce the spot.
I'll be honest, moves into turn 5 don't really work that well for the GTPs. We've seen it happen for the GTOs a couple of times, that you really got to force your opponent wide in order to make that work on the exit of the corner.
Did we report that Mukanos has gotten ahead of Ian Haycox? Because I'm not sure that we have.
Yeah, no, we watched that pass happen. Haycox has been clinging to the back of Mukanos ever since that pass happened. And yeah, Haycox and Mukanos have fallen off of Javier Galoma by 5 seconds. This could be Javier's first win in the GTO, and it could be a handy one, to be honest with you. But that being said, Yuko Leskola is only 10 seconds back of this battle that we're watching on screen. That would only put him 15 seconds back of our leaders. A couple more GTO drivers into the pits. Ben Laffer and Marius Brewer both into the pits right now. Reed Miller also came in, 16 seconds in the box, 47.7 seconds on the lane himself. So it looks like somewhere around 16 seconds is the fuel that the GTOs need, and they're not going to be taking tires today.
Ooh, Trangrade got held up on the final corner, and Mosquera's got a good run. We might have a switch around for 4th place in the GTPs. No, a big early lift for Javier. I think fuel is honestly the big thing that everybody has been thinking about in these prototypes. I've seen a few times where drivers have done some lift and coast into the corners to save themselves a bit. And 26 minutes left to go. You're talking about Leskola. He's got time. He's got time to run that 10 seconds
Lots
down.
of time, yeah, absolutely. He's got 15 seconds to close, a pit stop also to assist him. So I don't think he's been saving any fuel because of how far back he fell. I can report that Phil Lake is retired, so this is going to be a big points day for Yuko. This is actually probably going to bring them even in the championship, more or less, Joe.
So we ride on board with Sintez Galindo, our points leader, still hot on the heels of Mosquera. I gotta say, I love the gauge clusters and whatnot, the dash on this old Nissan. For some reason, just the aesthetic of it just looks cool to me, but maybe that's just because that's the stuff that I grew up watching. And as they come through the kink, he's going to see if he can move that windshield and dash past the pink number 17, but just can't seem to get close enough.
Yeah, it's definitely an older race car philosophy, which is just display the driver the information he needs to know, nothing else. None of this like multi-function displays with 17 pages. No, just give him like a gauge. As when it comes to NASCAR, give him like 3 gauges, for 2 for temperature, 1 for RPM, or in these cars, 4 gauges, one for turbo power, 2 for temperature, and 1 for RPM, and that's all they need to know. The driver doesn't need to pay attention to anything else.
Maybe some buttons and lights to give some warnings as well, as they come down into the first corner once again. Trangrade catching it. That was Robert Plumley, who's off, and thankfully everybody's able to get around him. But is that Plumley done as he backs it up, trying to find an open? He's trying to find a place to turn it around. Oh, he's going to back it into the wall again.
I think he might be having some technical issues.
So that happened when he had 2 wheels off of turn 1, just lost control and smacked the wall, and he had to take a tow in the end. So he could be done for the day. So we watch our lead cars, Sanchez in 3rd, now starting to pull away from Trangarade, Mosquera, Sintez Galindo losing ground. But Xavier is a full 8.5 seconds off of Tapia Vico currently. So he's probably not thinking about a 2nd place and just trying to solidify this 3rd.
So we've had a sprinkling of GTBs come into the pits. All of the GTOs from 11th on back have come into the pits. So the top 10 have yet to. Look at this. That was close between Xavier and Delgado. They managed to navigate it, but oh my goodness. Sorry, that was Nathan Cameron and Delgado that had a big moment there. So now this actually kind of messes up this little Scrabble right here.
Yeah, Andre Schumacher trying to lap Delgado just kind of threw a wrench in the works. Somebody's in pit lane. Is that Sanchez?
Xavier Sanchez, yeah.
It is. Okay, so that's our highest driver.
And Galindo comes too.
Now.
Yeah, Galindo following him through. So let's see. John Keefe was 11.7 seconds, but Jungbluth was 25.4 seconds, and that was with tires. So the question is tires or no? And the other question is, can John Keefe make it to the end with only 7 seconds of fuel?
Yeah, John Keefe, I think, is sitting in a good position, though, because he's got no traffic around him. He's basically been able to focus on his own race.
So both Xavier and Aitor Sentes Galindo taking tires.
Interesting. And 12, 13, 14 seconds for Sanchez, 15, 16. This is much longer than what Keefe did.
I wonder if Keefe underfueled. 22.8 seconds for Xavier Sanchez. Sentes Galindo still in the box, 27 seconds, so 5 seconds slower in the box for Sentes Galindo. That's going to take him out of contention with Xavier.
Absolutely. And looks like, yeah, Fabian Jungbluth had 25 seconds in there, so I'm trying to get a feel for if Keefe just stopped too early or short-fueled, or what in the world happened here.
Yeah, maybe too early. Maybe he filled it all the way to the top, but I don't know if they'll make it to the end. We'll have to keep our eyes on John Keefe. Right now in 9th position. He came out behind Xavier Sanchez by about 5 seconds. No!
And that is going to be big contact with Marco Lay, who's become something of a punching bag in this race.
Oh, that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah. He was in a fight, too. He was trying to battle with Robin Hapich. Trying to see. He did pull off to the middle of the track.
Yeah, but he's in a battle.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, so I figured out what happened. Keefe touched the grass there. He touched a little bit of the grass, and that sent him into him. He was off to the side, but the grass kind of swerved the car. Here, we're going to see it on the replay. Yeah, there it is.
But just like, why are you trying to squeeze by? The guy's blocking the track. You don't need to do that. Just hang out, wait for those two to blow the corner, and then you go around the inside. Watch. He's trying to get by. He thinks he sees a lane. I think he thought he could make it, but just clipped the grass there. Wow, look how close that was.
Yeah, I doubt the Hoosier is going to be getting a Christmas card from Olay this year, but we'll see how they fare after the race if they come into contact with each other. Talking as somebody's come into contact with something. What in the world? Timothy Vaughn.
What? How do you... That was for 5th position.
So, yeah, I'm trying to find him here.
This was with almost contact with Yuko Leskala. It was contact with Yuko Leskala. Watch this.
No. So
what?
He was trying to overtake on the right side, and Leskala swerved a bit at the last moment, which is a bit of a no-no. And Vaughn swerved as well in reaction, and that just sent him off at high speed into the concrete.
And so Yuko gets front left damage from this. Watch this.
Okay, so, okay, I think from that angle, it does look like Yuko was trying to take the normal racing line, which does drift you across the track. So maybe he thought, he's supposed to do what you're normally supposed to do, which is just follow the racing line. But
our leaders are in.
Miscommunication when it crosses across from right to left or left to right is right. Guven, Vico pitting, but Trangerade stays out. Mosquera stays out. Suarez is the next one. He's a long ways back. Sanchez, remember, he pitted a little bit early. So where will this put him in relation to the others? And Guven and Vico will probably help clear up what is the appropriate time for fuel here as they wait patiently. Guven's up to 18, 19. So, yeah, probably about 20-some seconds is what most are going to be doing. 23, 24.
That's a long stop. 27 seconds. It's a long stop compared to Sanchez, but he's got such gap over him. It doesn't matter.
Vico with 25. Sanchez is just picking up speed, but Vico was well ahead of him. So, okay. That is a much clearer picture. Pablo Suarez also pits in this time by, and Doug Cloud joins him. So this might be about the edge of the pit window, the way things are going. Will we see the 12 and the 17 soon dive into the pits?
I can report that Nick McConos and Jamie Hamlin-Smith also came into the pits for the GTOs. So Nick McConos is now our highest pitter in 8th position.
So waiting on Del Olmo, Ian Haycox, Hovdahl, Leskala, Millward, the top of the GTO fields, trying to go as long as they can. And this is our current leader overall, Ove Trangerade, out of the final corner. Does he dive in? No, he's going to keep going. So not the end of the pit window.
Mascara comes in, though, from 2nd position. So this is actually the most telling. If he got down to speed limit before he crossed the line. He does not have a black flag, so he did make it to the pit road in time. But remember that Mascara was in that battle with Sanchez and Galindo before the pit stops. Now, Sanchez and Galindo are now separated by 7 seconds. But how Mascara's pit stop goes will determine whether or not he's battling with Sanchez or Sanchez Galindo.
Oh, there's a black flag for Yuko Leskala. I'm going to guess that's incident limits.
Yep.
Oh.
And he's coming into the pits now.
Now, he can't serve the penalty at the same time that he takes service on the car, or else it will extend the penalty. So let's see which one he does here.
I think this will be the drive-through. But what a pain for him. He was up to 5th position. He had a chance at winning this race, Joe.
And Sanchez has got Mascara easily. So Mascara is back out, and it's almost exactly the same stop time I'm seeing on my screen. So that was just better laps for the 4.
Better tires.
Ah, yeah. Good point. I hadn't even thought about that. We've so focused on the fuel.
Oh, it's the undercut with the tires. The tires making a big difference right now.
Ooh, so that's why we saw so many of them pit when they did. So will this actually hurt Trangerade then, trying to do the overcut?
Well, the real question is, Mascara came out 4 seconds behind Sanchez. Can he hold that through the rest of the race, or will Sanchez's tires wear out and allow Mascara to catch up and try and make it past as we get closer to the end?
Hard to say. We might not know until the checkered flag falls.
And Trangerade into the pits from the lead, so this will surrender the lead back to Guven. As Ian Haycox has gone around from 3rd in the GTOs.
Oh, and this is in the carousel.
Off the nose of a GTP, this was Jeffrey Furcon.
Yep. And unfortunately, another case of miscommunication there. So Ian is actually only down to 4th. Boy, the GTOs have been a bit of a bloodbath. He had a long time that it took him to get back running, and only Alex Millward went by.
I mean, we have had 9 DNFs so far, Joe, so it's actually 10 with Timothy Vaughn if we count him. So a lot of drivers having some problems. Trangerade with a 20.7 second stop, so our shortest of the drivers who are not named John Keefe to take his pit stop, but he's back out on track in 3rd.
And he beats Sanchez out by a pretty good margin, looking like about 4 seconds. So if he's got the pace, now that's interesting. So he was out longer on the old tires, but still managed to outpace all those he was battling with. So,
and that's the fuel. I think that has everything to do with his fuel, because he took less time in the box. So I think he took less fuel than everyone else.
Huh.
So I guess it depends on situationally whether the tires or the fuel strategy is going to do it better for you. But I can report Ian Haycox decided to take that spin off the nose of Furcon as his sign that he should come in to the pits. Yuko Leskala also comes into the pits from 7th position. So Yuko,
looks like Lilac is in too. In the 40. Yeah, so that's the last of them. Oh, and Leskala was putting out all kinds of smoke.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I think that was just a graphical glitch because he slid his tires coming into the box, but that was weird.
Yeah, okay.
Never seen that one before.
Yeah. Well, someone report that one to iRacing. We'll see if we can figure that out, as the 2 is back out, but where is he? 14th in the fields. Granted, we still need to see Gianluca Gabbiani pit, but I think he will be in front of him. Guven with another fastest lap. of the race. Del Olmo is our leader in the GTOs, but he also needs to stop. As we check in on some of our GTPs here, this is Cameron just ahead of Pineda and Battaglia. And then, of course, they've got Laughter and Brewer in behind them. So Battaglia is a lap down. He's not a part of this fight, but Cameron and Pineda are fighting for 12th.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point, all of our GTPs have pits. So all these battles for the GTPs are going to be on-track battles from this point on. So there's quite a bit of work to do. Javier Del Olmo has pit from the lead of the GTOs, as well as Matthias Abdal and Alex Millward. So I think we're at the end of the line for the GTOs now.
Absolutely. And the 23 is rolling once again. So it looks like he should easily re-inherit that lead. Waiting on Hovdal to start taking off. Nick Mukanos, who's already pitted, is coming around. So where is this going to put Nick as Hovdal starts to go? But I think Nick's got better speed. Yeah, Mukanos is looking at second place as it unfolds right now.
And a good shot at the lead if Javier Del Olmo doesn't have a great outlap. So he's only 3 seconds off of the lead. I think if Nick can push a little bit here, he might have a shot at taking it with the remaining 12 minutes to go.
It's been a while since we've seen Mukanos on the top step of the podium. Wouldn't be too surprised if he managed to snatch this one away, but Del Olmo is going to have an iron grip on that top step. And with only 12 minutes left to go, it looks to me like Nicholas is going to have to turn the afterburners on, and he has. It's down to 2.7 now, so he's already gained a little bit in the time since they have exited the pit lane. This is for your GTO lead.
Now, up to this point, Javier Del Olmo has had the class of the field, except for those drivers who got collected in that early wreck. Remember, Javier Del Olmo was lined up third, next to Nick Mukanos, and managed to pull 6 seconds on Nick before the pit cycle. So Nick's got to do a lot of work to close that gap to Javier, who seems to have an understanding of this track that surpasses most of these drivers. Here we see a battle for 5th position between Ian Haycox, Jamie Hamill-Smith, Reed Miller.
Reed Miller's been in quite some adventures out there himself as he chases on Hamill-Smith. Haycox still within the top 5, but it's a race of what could have been for him, I'm sure, as he briefly held the lead. And just goes to show, Adam, that it's not about it falling into your lap. There's no guarantees. Once the opportunities are presented, you got to hold on to them.
Absolutely, you got to hold on to him. You got to grasp him with an iron fist. And I mean, Ian Haycox proving that he absolutely has the measure of the field here at Road America. I mean, this man just getting past Jamie Hamill-Smith into turn 5 this lap. I mean, he's absolutely flying out there. You know, sitting in position for a 5th spot today is Ian Haycox. I mean, this guy, he's been fighting tooth and nail all day. He's had some incidents. He's had some fights for the lead. I mean, he's absolutely running this track ragged and pulling away from Jamie Hamill-Smith now.
Del Olmo's not pulling away from Mukanos, by the way. It's down to 2.7 seconds. So I think this might change before we're done as we look out the back. And yeah, it looks to me like Haycox is able to distance himself from Hamill-Smith enough that he's not under attack here. This is going to be tense for Del Olmo and Mukanos. How hard do you fight as well? Mukanos sits 3rd in the points coming in. Del Olmo sits 5th in the points. Oh, and did something happen to Mukanos? He's on the radio yelling.
Yes. Emerson Gaudin spun in front of him in turn 5. Major front end damage for Nick Mukanos. That's going to ruin his opportunity at trying to go for the lead.
Oh, gutting for Nick Mukanos.
Oh, that's a lot of contact.
Just couldn't have known that car was going to be there, especially if he was on a single monitor setup, because that was off to his left-hand side and then was right at the apex.
Oh, our leader is having some real trouble getting around the battle for 3rd position in the GTOs between Matthias Hovdal and Alex Millward. He got hung up behind them and almost loses it as he approaches the kink. Whoo, that was close.
And since the pit stop, this is still at only 2.4 seconds.
Well, all of that happened just in the last 3 corners, Joe, because Guven got stuck behind those 2 guys battling and lost 4 seconds. Oh, and Tabiavico almost sends it around. That was close.
Whew. This race, stick with it because things can change in a heartbeat. 8 minutes might not seem like a lot, but nothing is guaranteed here today as they fly back up the front stretch. Checking to see, we've now had so many other incidents to see if we've got any other black flags coming out, because some of these guys have got to be getting a little close on those incidents.
Absolutely. So battles that I'm watching, P4 in the GTPs between Xavier Sanchez and Javier Mosquera. Mosquera's climbed up to the back of Sanchez at this point and is right on the back of Femazander turn 1, not making a move this time around. Obviously that battle for 5th position between Ian Haycox and Jamie Hamill-Smith. We also got a battle for 3rd between Matthias Hobdahl and Alex Millward in the GTOs. Then another one going on back there for 10th between Franco Scurry and Robin Hapich and Yuka Leskala. There's battles all over this track, Joe. We're not even close to done yet.
Hobdahl goes defensive as well. Millward got a good run on him. He's going to be on the outside, but he's got a nose ahead. Does he chop down? He can't. Can't get the car woed up in time. Through the outside of the corner, still holds the advantage. Hobdahl trying to fight back, and Millward will take that 3rd position.
Absolutely. So Millward up into 3rd. He's got some work to do to hang on to it. There is that battle between Trengate and Sanchez that we've been watching. Sorry, Sanchez and Mosquera, I was right, that we were watching, now splitting up this battle. So 2 battles splitting each other up there as Mosquera squeezes by Millward. That was close.
Also, John Keefe took a 2nd pit stop. Best I could guess is that maybe John decided to take a gamble and try a 2-stopper here, but
yeah. I don't know what happened early in the race. Maybe, but I know that he filled it to the brim. Otherwise, he would have taken more than 11.7 seconds of fuel. So, yeah, baffling to me too, Joe.
Back to Sanchez with Mosquera less than a second behind him. 6.5 minutes left to go. Lap times, even for the fastest class, is a minute 47, minute 48 for many of these drivers. And coming up the hill, they're going to overtake Nick Mukanos now. Nick not doing too shabby. What is his lap time looking like? 2:06.1 for Nick. Millward trying to see how he compares, if he's going to be able to catch him, because it's 9 seconds between them. 2:05.7. No, he's too far back. And even though he's got a pace advantage, not enough of one.
Absolutely. So a lot of the battles separated for the moment right now, as it seems like everyone's taking a little bit of a breath. That being said, Millward and Hobdahl still pretty close for those 2.
Yep, down into turn 5. And Guven, who we kind of expected to be a force to be reckoned with. The win was probably something that he was going to be fighting for. It was just more of a question of if it'd be an easy fight or if he'd have to really work for it. And he did have to work for a little bit, as kept close enough that Tapiavico's been threatening at times. But the 14, I think, is one of the drivers of the race for me, just because Alexis Tapiavico, he's got, again, the 14 in iRating. So he's not exactly someone who tends to challenge for the victories here in this kind of field. And yet he is holding on to 2nd place, surrounded by guys like Ove Trengate, Xavier Sanchez, who are all pretty quick on their good days.
Yeah, honestly, Tapiavico tends to be around 10th, 11th, 12th position in the GTPs. Today, though, 2nd position, a strong 2nd, holding on to Guven fairly well as we take a look at him right now. But we should go back to 3rd in the GTOs, because I think Hobdahl's thinking about a move on Millward.
Yeah, I talked about Millward maybe trying to catch Mukanos. I'm guessing his attention is elsewhere, unfortunately, as he's got to play defense on Matthias to try and stay on the podium. And this is a good run from, oh no, this is a lap car. That's Fonseca that Tapiavico is going to overtake. So he's going to easily be able to go through.
Oh, and I think P5 in the GTOs is about to change hands. Jamie Hamill-Smith very close to the back of Ian Haycox at the moment, and this is very close as they head up towards turn 1.
It is, and Haycox is going to go a little bit defensive, then leaves the door open. Hamill Smith thinks about it. Oh, but he scares him off the racing line. Ian Haycox not able to get down there to the curb. He retains the spot, but clearly he's being rattled.
Yeah, absolutely. I can report Martin Kraytrick just had an incident, and Hovdahl having an incident too. So this, whoa, this is going to be a battle for, he's going to join the battle for 5th right now.
Oh, yeah, he got a little close to the back of Millward, spun it on his own, and was able to keep it pointed forward, but now he's overtaken by the pair of them. They've also got Fabian Jungbluth. He's going to cost even more time to the number 5. So Ian Haycox back up into 4th. Can he hold off both Hamill Smith and now Hovdahl on top of it?
He's got to do it. This is, he's holding on to a 5th position, actually now a 4th position, to be honest with you, is Ian Haycox. So this is a good opportunity. Ian, though, not very strong on the brakes at this stage in the race. So this is going to get interesting. They've got Pablo Suarez who's going to come swooping around them as they approach the, oh, it looks like we've had an incident between a couple of drivers. I'm trying to keep my eyes on it. I think it's Franco Scurry who's had a problem. Yeah, there's Franco. And another of the GTPs who just towed.
Franco tow, so he must have had too much damage to carry on. We're about 1.5 laps from the finish. Guven is just coming through on turns 5 and 6 as we watch the battle between Haycox, Hamill Smith, and Hovdahl.
And Mascara's had a problem.
Oh no, this was going to be a good day for him too.
And this was off of a spinning and just coasting Battaglia. Battaglia crossed back across the track. I don't understand why this happened.
Yeah, didn't lock up the brakes. Car unfortunately went right in the line of Mascara. And Mascara's gotten it going, so I guess the car is at least good enough.
Flag.
Nobody's got enough laps. You can finish if you got. So he's going to be able to limp it home, and he won't be penalized for that. But the question is, how fast can he be? It's going to be 1 to go for Ionkan Guven in the number 1 machine. There he is out of the final corner and up the hill. It's down to 1.9 seconds ahead of Tapia Vico. I suspect that Guven is just managing the race from here, making sure that he does high percentage moves.
Sorry, Joe. I can't keep my eyes away from that P4 battle. Ian Haycox is really struggling to keep that car online. Jamie Hamill Smith really ringing out the back of him. They got Doug Cloud trying to look for a way around. He's got to go by because Martin Kraytrick's not too far behind him. He gets stuck up between them. This is going to really hurt Jamie Hamill Smith. And this might have been enough.
Yeah, I think you're right. As the GTP goes sailing off. So Doug Cloud, unfortunately, finding damage on the last lap.
It's 1 second between Tapia Vico and Guven.
Did Guven maybe short fuel a little bit? No, because he had 27 seconds.
I don't know, Joe. Tapia Vico's coming, and he's got half a lap.
Oh, this is going to get fascinating now. A little bit of lap traffic in front of them. Jason Clapper as well. Tapia Vico is going to be through the roof, not just for, I think, his first ever Camel victory, but beating a black stripe, almost 10K iRating driver. It'd be, he's going to remember that one for years.
I don't know. He's too far back right now, but they've got traffic, like you said.
Coming up to a GTO, Hapich, and also Yuko Leskala.
It's half a second.
Oh, this is a bad place to catch him. He's going to be able to get through one. That's some distance. That is the buffer that he needs. I think that's going to do it for Guven. All he needs to be is fast off the final corner. He spins it! The final corner! Vico! Vico's going to win off the final turn and beat Guven, who led this entire race!
Unbelievable! Tapia Vico at the right time. He was able to stay in position, get close enough to put pressure on Guven, who took too much of an opportunity at the last corner. Tapia Vico wins it.
Oh my goodness! Alexis with the upset of the century. Javier Del Olmo, by the way, is still coming around through the carousel, 6 seconds over Mucanos. Javier Del Olmo as well, seeing the leaders fall to the side. Oh, he's got to avoid traffic, though. This isn't over. It's 6 seconds down to Mucanos, so if a wreck for Del Olmo gives him enough damage, Mucanos could snatch the win of the GTOs as well.
Absolutely. So Del Olmo still has 6 seconds. He's got plenty of room to work with. Hopefully this GTP oh, that's not gonna, come on, man. Sure, that's what Javier's thinking. Look at the mess going on ahead of him. He has to navigate that. And now he comes through the final sector through Bill Mitchell Ben. And he just has one more corner to go, but we know how hard that one corner is. Coming out of there, he's got a clear shot now. Just has to hope that none of the GTPs run into him at this point, and Javier Del Olmo is going to win here at Road America.
There's going to be some extremely happy drivers and some extremely upset drivers after today, but this battle is not done between Ian Haycox and Jamie Hamill-Smith. And the 28 car is not going to be close enough. So there goes Ian Haycox into fourth. It could have been maybe a win, but not even on the podium for the number 20.
Yeah, but after getting run into, Joe, I think Ian will take that.
Yeah, that is quite the recovery. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road America. This was a classic here in the Kamel GT series as Alexis Tapia Vico took the win from the front row. But a driver that we don't often see fighting for top fives has gotten his first win and beaten a 9,800 iRating driver to do so, as Guven led the majority of the race and slipped up at the final corner, letting him through. Ove Trangarade was third, as Xavier Sanchez was fourth, and it's Heitor Sintes Galindo in P5. Fabian Jungbluth finished in sixth, followed by Pablo Suarez, who went from 13th to 7th. Javier Mascara could only limp home to 8th after he had severe damage at the end. Martin Krajcik was P9, and John Keefe rounds out your top 10. It is Doug Cloud in 11th, as Jose Pineda went from 19th to 12th. Last one on the lead lap was Nathan Cameron in 13th. Then it's Jason Clapper, P14, Carlos Fonseca, P15, and Jeffrey Furcon in 16th. Kurt Clapper was 17th, Ward Al Safi in 18th, followed by Lilac Zier in P19. Seamus Power 20th, Marco Battaglia the last to finish in 21st, and there's your DNFs in the GTPs. Adam?
Yeah, what a race in the GTOs. From the first lap that caused contact with Reed Miller, Phil Lake, and Yuka Leskala, sending them to the back of the field. We got Javier Del Olmo, who came out of the smoke unscathed and comes home with the win today over Nick Makanos. Alex Millward was able to squeak home into third position, with Ian Haycock getting collected by a GTP coming to the pits and still hanging on to a fourth spot over Jamie Hamill-Smith in fifth. Matthias Hovdahl up to sixth spot today, with Marius Brewer in seventh. Ben Laughter in eighth position today. Reed Miller able to recover the best of those drivers involved in that first lap incident, recovering to ninth spot, with Yuka Leskala all the way up to 10th after having multiple incidents and having to do a drive-through for overdoing the incident limit. Then Robin Happich comes home in 11th position, with Alexander Schumacher in 12th. Gianluca Gabbiani had a very storied race with traffic, coming home in 13th position, with Andreas Nielsen in the 14th spot. And we got Javier Delgado in 15th, Franco Scurry in 16th, and the rest of the drivers did not have great days today. Marco Lay, Plum Lay, Caprone, Coy Visto, Phil Lake, and Urban did not finish.
And looks like we're going to be talking to Jamie Hamill-Smith here, who finished in fifth position on this race. A close fight towards the end with Ian Haycock. Jamie almost managed to try and challenge Ian there. It looked like you two were pretty equal on pace at the end.
Yeah, it's always easy to race around Ian. He races really well. He's very predictable. I thought I had him a couple times there, but the traffic always kind of decides things for us.
It did in the end. Talk about the start as well, because you were well back in the fields, so you probably couldn't see as much, but suddenly being promoted about 4 positions by the first corner, what was going through your head?
Yeah, I saw dust, and my spotter yelled Reed's name, so I knew he was involved somehow, so I figured that gave me a better idea of what part of the pack it was. But I didn't really look at it. I just kind of kept my head down and kept going. I made no mistakes in this race, which is great. And I think I had a little bit of luck on my side as well.
Yeah, up 10 spots from P15, got to be a positive. So heading out from Road America and our Enduro this week, we're off to Montreal, which is going to be filled with probably even more attrition than what we experienced today. You talked about head down. Is that now all complete focus on that track?
No, unfortunately, I have prior commitments. I won't be able to race at Montreal next weekend, but I'll be looking forward to the one after that.
Well, sad we won't get to see it, but we'll be happy to have you return. Anybody you want to shout out while we got you?
Just the whole Kamel community. The racing is consistently good. I just love racing in this series. I feel like I'm racing with fast, good people, and it's so much fun. Thanks, everyone.
That was Jamie Hamill-Smith in fifth. As our eighth place in the GTOs was Ben Laughter. Adam has caught up with him.
Yeah, Ben, I mean, what a day. There you had ups and downs and lefts and rights and sideways and everything today. Talk to me about your race. This one was storied for you.
You know, I came in thinking top 8 finish, Ben, do a top 8 finish. A lot of strong guys were in there. And then all that lap 1 kerfuffle, and I was like, hold on, I could win this or at least podium this. And then I got turned around at one point. Uwe already reached out and apologized. I really appreciate that. But I got turned around at one point and recovery drive from there, and then last lap was just under constant pressure from Marius, and he tricked me into a missed shift, you know, so finished where I started. It was up and down, didn't end up going anywhere.
So how was the chaos of this? I mean, did you run the Road America 500?
I did, yeah. Had a really good opening stint. We had an issue in the second stint that ended our race there. So yeah, we ran that. But today it was chaos is the right word. There were just bad decisions being made by our friends over in the prototypes today. A lot of bad decisions. There were a lot of moves that, if the Audi hadn't taken evasive action, the pass just wouldn't have happened. I don't know when it became more important to dive the Audi than to actually make the corner. I don't know when that decision has been made, but that decision has been made at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a lot of that today as well. Ben, I have to ask you about, did you have you put a filter on your camera, or, I mean, I'm just curious.
It's my new rave filter, man. It spices up the stream. No, I don't know why it's doing that. This old laptop, I guess, is starting to tell me it's time for a new one. So sorry about that.
Well, it looks exactly like the onboards did back in the day, so that's actually perfect. We're headed to Montreal next week. We haven't raced there in a long time in the Kamel series. What are your thoughts going into that round?
The more technical it is, the more the raw skill matters. So I think your usual suspects will bubble up to the top. People like Phil, Yuko, Nick, Reed. And I'll be running for fifth, man, doing my best. But it's a tricky track where one mistake costs you a lot because those walls are punishing.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Ben. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I'll thank the Kamel community, like Jamie. I wish I was up there battling with Jamie today, but I wasn't. Still a great community, still great racing. I love these cars so much. But man, we've just got to make better collaborative decisions and overtakes.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Ben, and we look forward to seeing you next week. That was Ben Laughter, who finished in the 8th position in the GTOs. Back to you, Joe.
Sadly, we have not gotten to talk to Alexis or Ianka, who I'd love to have been able to chat with about that race. Would have been great to hear their perspectives, especially on that last lap. In the meantime, though, we're going to close out with a big thank you to the Kamel GT community ourselves for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and to our channel sponsor, the Majors Garage. Click on our link in the description below and use our discount code MajorsGSRC to get 10% off your order. Thank you goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because next week is also probably going to be fraught with action. Montreal will take place on Saturday, April 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.